Hey everybody, welcome back to Champion Sons and our Formula One series following Champion Racing as we have traveled basically, well, since we're American, we've traveled across the pond to Great Britain at this point, and we have got British Grand Prix, and we've got a hell of a race for you coming up, right? This track is a little bit more difficult than what I had expected. Um, I'd normally enjoy some vast turns, and this has got some pretty sweeping ones that kind of follow up, as you can see. But there's a lot more straightaways in there, um, so we can normally make some good headway coming off those turns. But when you add in the long straightaways, our speed and our power setup right now just still isn't where we truly want it to be at, and so for that, we have to kind of try to make some adjustments, and it's really hard to do, especially when your car is kind of lacking what it truly needs. So, this track is a little bit more difficult for us in qualifying. So let's take a look at the starting grid to see where we at. Starting out, you have Hamilton and Bottas, 1 and 2 for Mercedes up there, and then Leclerc, Kvyat, surprisingly comes in the top fifth, right ahead of Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. Now we do squeeze into the 8th spot, right? So our rival Carlos Sainz, we do have him beat at this moment as far as qualifying position goes, um, but it's still something where he's too close for comfort. Really, is what I would say in this thing. And so this race and this track, it's going to be a difficult one. We're going to have to be on top of our game as we do get this race underway now, starting out as we shoot down into the inside with a great start. The problem is this first inside turn is going to be hard to hold it, and they come around us. That was a pretty close avoidance on a wreck. We did have a small little collision with Albon there, but nothing too drastic as far as any type of damage. And then we come squeezing down in the middle and just not able to hold our position. Sergio Perez gets right in front of us, and look at them take off. And this is a problem. Before we had some good power coming out of turns. Right now we are losing that. Even guys like Lance Stroll are pushing up on us. We have maintained this 8th position so far for this first lap, but man, they are giving us a heck of a challenge. As great start, gained about 3 or 4 positions, and then immediately lost those 3 or 4 positions. And so it's one of those that happens. We do have a 26-lap race today, so we have plenty of time to make some moves. We are going to have good, solid driving. And some of these turns I let loose a little too much, and you cannot swing outside like that. I cannot swing if I really want to have a chance of it. Got to get better control of this car. That's going to be the biggest thing. And so coming in here now to the back half of this first lap, we've maintained our positioning at 8th, and we've gotten some space behind us to kind of be a little bit more comfortable with. But look at that space in front. It's not until we get to these tight, almost 90-degree turns that we're able to actually catch up some. And Lewis Hamilton has already crossed. He came in at 1:36, 4 whole seconds, and actually a little bit more than that above us. And the only reason we came in about a second or so behind Kvyat and Perez is because those turns caused them to slow up. And so we have real problems with our power unit right now. We are doing some upgrades to try to resolve this issue. It's just they were not able to be put in. And we also have, along with the upgrades, we've also put on new components, or we're waiting for our new components to be put on. We have basically like 3 gearboxes and stuff, and we are on the second one, and it's pretty worn down, and so we're waiting for the next one, for the third one to be put on, but that one probably won't be able to be on there until our next race, at the way the schedule is looking out. Now, our tire wear, we do obviously start out with the soft tires, pretty much like everybody else, as we swing that too wide, and see what I mean? The steering, I'm just not very comfortable on this track, and that's a big problem. All right, and so our steering is out wide, but our soft tires, we're wearing them down kind of quickly with the way this track is, because I have to come into these turns hard. If I want to have any chance of maintaining my spot, we're hitting every single turn as hard as we can. And the downside of that means you hit every single brake, or every single turn you hit the brakes about as hard as you actually absolutely have to avoid going into the grass like I did earlier. Now coming in after lap 2, we had probably, we shaved 3 seconds off our time. The downside to that, as Hamilton shaved seconds off his time too. So his lead is actually even growing further beyond just the group. And if you look, Perez and Kvyat are now generally around 1.5 to 2 seconds ahead of us. And that's a big problem, because we're not actually gaining any speed on them. They just keep getting further and further away. And so really right now, my hope is to try to get into the top 10. It is going to require some perfect driving. I'm able to keep kind of Lance Stroll and Carlos Sainz back at this time. But once we hit that pit window, it's going to get crazy for us as we try to, I'd say really just maintain our spot. I think at this stage, trying to, increase our position is going to be dang near impossible. So we're going to be fighting with those guys, with at least Lance Stroll, for this whole race, depending on when they go into the pits, and God help us when we have to go in and where we come out in the end. You know what I mean? And so I think I'm going to try to pit this first one coming up. Should be around the 7th lap or so. I'm going to try to pit earlier, and hopefully that will allow me to put on some harder tires, stay out for a little longer, and actually, kind of cross paths with those that pit later, and kind of get me out in front of them and maybe gain a couple positions, ideally. And we're going to actually advance to coming out of the pit here on the 11th lap. We do have medium tires. We didn't go hard this time. We went medium. And coming out, look at that. We are in 20th position. Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez are all... Man, I don't think his name is Sergio. But either way, Sainz and Perez are in front of us. Perez has got a almost 8-second lead. Sainz, his is about 2.5 seconds and kind of maintaining. So lap number 11 out of 26. We're getting closer to that halfway point. We just had our first pit stop. And I let it go as long as I could, right? 15 laps to go. The downside, we have medium tires. So looking at it, we are going to have to take one more pit during this race. The good sign is most guys have medium tires on, so they're going to be looking at having to take a pit also, a second one. And really, this is what is going to be big for us, is timing that out. These medium tires, I think, are actually holding up pretty well compared to the soft ones. We needed more of the grip. And these medium tires can last a little bit longer, and we seem to be holding them slightly better than what we did with the soft tires. So these things have gotten warmed up pretty dang quick and have got us some good grip on the track. So the downside is it's going to take a while for us to gain some spots, but look at that. As we go right past this pit area, already gained, 6, 7 positions. We're already up to P13. And that's what kind of, I expected to happen. I really did. And so now we got to do some racing as we get closer to these guys. Now we got Norris out in front of us, who's trailing right behind Sainz. Now Norris and McLaren, man, they're kind of up and down in the year. Some days they have really good races. Other days, you'll see them at the very back of the grouping. And so hopefully we can work our way around Norris, but not going to be doing that if I'm sliding into the rocks like that. If we can work our way around Norris and get ahead of Sainz, it's going to take patience. That's what it's going to take. But if we can get ahead of them and really position ourselves for a top 10 finish, that's about all the best I could ask for from this race. I can't see anything more major coming out of it. We don't have a chance to win, I hate to say it, but we need a good, solid performance if we're going to set ourselves up for the future, if we're going to have money to make further upgrades and improvements. And chasing down this McLaren team is becoming kind of a pain in my keister. Look at it, they are drafting with each other, which you don't really see too total much of in Formula One. It obviously does happen in any racing, it happens, but these guys are just kind of pushing each other and slinging each other around the track. Oh, wow, look at that. Came in with the fastest lap of the race so far, beating out Hamilton's fastest lap. Just barely, though. He just nudged him. So we've got a little bit better speed with these medium tires. That is what I really think this is all about. The one thing when you see that lap time is you realize, okay, so we may not have the most powerful power unit. Our engine parts are getting a little bit older, trying to get those replaced. But it shows we can compete. We can hold it. We just have to race essentially the perfect laps, and we're going to try to do that coming around Norris here. As we have actually moved up into the P10 spot, so the 10th position, thanks to some people making some last-second pit stops. But we've shown we can hang with them timing-wise. It's just being consistent. That was almost a perfect lap, and that's just how we have to maintain. As our laps have got to be perfection and swing. And look, getting a little loose right there. Oh my goodness, way out wide. And needed to slam the brakes on that one. And look at them. They just shoot off in front of us. That was a prime time chance to get in front of them and trying to make something happen, especially coming around here in the back half of this track. And so we're going to continue to push our way. And these tight turns, this is where we can make our bread and butter. But we have to hit it perfectly in those tight turns. Coming out of them, and we take it just still a little too wide, but we're close enough. We are close enough. Oh, man, you've got to be kidding me. Those turns, I don't know what is wrong with me on the timing of this. It's just not working out well today. We're going to try to squeeze down inside on Norris, and we're able to do it. Just manhandle that dude. Get him out of your way. He's a punk, and we treated him like one. Yeah, that was a pretty brave maneuver. I've seen that go very wrong for me in the past. I'll say that. Just Norris thankfully backed off. You know, that is a spot. Two guys are going for one spot, and one of you is going to have to back off. It just wasn't going to be me. You know, I kind of take the Ricky Bobby approach. If you ain't first, you're last kind of thing. Whenever I'm talking about getting through a turn, I'm not talking about the race. I'm talking about just hammering it through a turn like that we just did. Either we got through there ain't no point in us being in this race. Now Norris is going to start ticking me off because he's right on my tail again. But we hit these turns almost as perfect as we could ever do it. As we gain about a whole other couple tenths of a second just from those turns alone on Norris coming into the straightaway, and that was really needed because he is right on our tail. Got to continue to do this perfect lap basically as we are pushing it, and we are actually making some space the way we're doing this. And now here comes Sainz. We've got him in our eyes. It looks like he's pushing out further though. Ooh, kind of hit that turn a little too hard. And doing that actually sent us having to go to the pits. You know, I pushed the car as many times as I could over the next couple laps after I ran over that little curb section. But I did have to take another pit. And you can see coming out of it, we're now on lap 22 here of this race, so 4 laps to go. And we've dropped all the way down to P19. Yeah, and it was actually a pretty decent pit stop as far as, you know, what our crew was doing. But, you know, you put damage on the car, you're screwed. And especially when you're not running as fast and as powerful as you should be, that's going to put you at a real big disadvantage. So we are all the way back in the 19th position. We have Russell and Latifi behind us. But Roman Grosjean is ahead of us in 18th. Giovinazzi ahead of him in 17th. And you know what? Something even more pitiful I'm going to tell you. My teammate is back behind us, or is in front of us. We are losing to our teammate. I have not done that one time since being in here in Formula One. But today's the day. There's a first for everything. As we come down to only a few laps left, trying to hammer down on Grosjean and Giovinazzi. And really, if they can continue to battle each other coming around these turns, it'll force, ironically enough, they do tend to slow down. It kind of forces them to do that as they're trying to block off turns. And it takes some time off of their racing laps. And so we're able to catch up to them. And you see, we're actually less than a second away from both of them. But making this move is going to be kind of a tough one. Getting past 2 cars is a big risk. right, so we got Grosjean first in our sights here. I'm going to take it into the inside, but he will cut that one down. So we swing it outside and just cannot hold it. You've got to be. Man, that was a rough turn. All right, so now we're going to try to line them up again. All right. We're going to line these bad boys up again. Give us her time. We're only on lap 23. So we do have 3 more laps to go after this. Maybe we can make something happen. And maybe, fingers crossed, the big one happens to everybody else and we don't get caught up in that. Whoo, Grosjean gets bumped out of the way by Giovinazzi, so we're hot on his tail. And here we go, shooting to the inside of this turn. Oh, man, they hit us. We spin, but look at that. They took all our damage, and we spin out again. As we had them, but they end up coming right back out in front of us. That was, oh, man, that was damn near disastrous. That is not what you want to see. And it looks like they had taken the worst of the damage. They came back on the center part of our body. So we shoot down to the inside one more time, see if we can't hold it. And we still got him there. Oh, 3 wide almost. They almost spin us out, but we squeeze in. You've got to be kidding me. Grosjean and Giovinazzi, man, we squeezed in the middle of them. I'm not sure how we made it out of that one alive. And keep in mind, the damage that I do have turned on right now is simulation. So, man, it's about as realistic as it can get. And look at us, our car's kind of sliding back and forth on some of these turns, but I guarantee you so are theirs. And I blame that one on them. They ought not to have been kind of swinging around on me like they were. Okay, clear. Is all I'm going to say. Oh, look at that. Kimi Räikkönen had to drop out, so that's a free position. So now we're up into the 16th spot with about 2.5 laps to go. Downside to that is the closest person, Lance Stroll, is beating us by a little less than 14 seconds. So I think these last couple laps we're going to be doing some more cruising, but I have to watch out for Grosjean. Giovinazzi, he's 4 seconds behind. I don't see him pushing me too much. And I'm not sure what damage was actually done to Grosjean's car, but he's the closest one. And trust me, at the same time, I could always spin out. The steering has definitely gotten a little bit more loose with the way these guys are coming at me. My engine is a lot more critical right now. It could just blow at any moment is what I'm trying to say. If you see down in the bottom right-hand corner, see how that big old little box right there is lit up in red? That means shit is about to go down with my engine if I don't, get this car turned off fairly quickly. So I've got to hit these laps fast, which means obviously smooth turns. I try not to overpower, but man, if you look at our little engine meter and all that, our ERS is just hovering around, mid-30s. That's why everything is so critical for us as they swing out into the rocks. That was a pretty piss-poor turn. And I'm even trying to take it slower. See, that's what I mean by this track. Lots of turns would generally come into our advantage, but for some reason, I don't know what it is. The timing of this track has just thrown me off completely. Coming into these S turns, and it just hasn't been really a good day for us. Outside of that double pass that we did right there, fantastic. Oh shit, Giovinazzi's out of the race probably because I don't blame myself. I blame him for not getting out of my way. Let's be honest, all right? He should have got out of my way. There's the old saying, if you're on the tracks when the train's coming through, you're going to get killed. And that's what he was. All right? He was just on the tracks, and the train of Sebastian Champion was coming through. And so he got damaged. Now, last lap of this race, and let's kind of see, I want to see where the winner crosses at this stage. I mean, god dang, I got to finish this lap. Lewis Hamilton has just passed the mark, and man, that's pretty rough. All right, so Lewis Hamilton's passed. We are just, at this point, struggling to hold it together. I'm not going to lie. These turns, my back end is slipping and sliding all around. I've just got no traction whatsoever. And so look at that. Got to take it out into the rocks. And still, here we come, trying to make some things go down. It's just got no traction for it. And really, thankfully, we're kind of racing by ourselves at this point. I'm not worried about, trying to catch someone to squeeze in that last second turn. And Jesus Christ, hold it together. And I'm not worried about someone coming from behind either. So, coming into it, as long as I can avoid the spin out and wrecking my car, we should be pretty good to go. I can't imagine us doing anything, more to screw this up. But here it comes. Getting ready for these last couple sets of tight turns, and we're going to cross that finish line. Kind of run over the curbs, screw the rules on that one. Here it comes, checkered flag. Our car is still in one piece. Our engine has not blown, and we are going to end up taking 16th position. Definitely a disappointing day on the track. I can tell you that much. But, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So I got to tell you, knowing that I have all my new engine components, I've got my upgrades coming in, getting ready to be there for, our next race. That's what I'm waiting for, okay? So sometimes you got to wade through the chitsky to get to the glory. You know what I mean? And this was just one of those moments. This was a chitsky type of moment for us. So I see it as on the other side of this, we have got greatness coming our way. And look at that, Mercedes and Ferrari. Everybody's so proud of themselves. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton wins. Valtteri Bottas, the permanent second place type of driver. He is the F1's Cal Naughton to Hamilton's Ricky Bobby, is what I'll say about that. And if you've seen that F1 series on Netflix, you can tell it just eats that man alive. I feel sorry for him in that sense in real life, I really do. All right, so let's see what they want to, beating all expectations. I have points. I have pretty decent points, I'll say that. But when you come in at 16th, I can't imagine that's truly beating expectations. And I'm going to give my team the acclaim on that one. It's more like Dodgems. That is bumper cars for Americans. Dodgems is the British bumper cars. Just throwing that out there. They're just friendly nudges, all right? I didn't bump them, really. I didn't nudge them. I rubbed them. And rubbing, son, is racing. That's all I got to say about that. All right. So we're going to get headed into headquarters and get set up for the next race. If you have not subscribed already, I would definitely do so and hit that little bell notification icon so you can be notified of all of the Champ and Sons content that we have coming your way. Also, if you did like today's video and you like Formula One, you like racing, give us a little thumbs up, as we really do appreciate it, and it really does help out the channel very much. And like I said, we appreciate everything that you guys do for us here at Champ and Sons also. So we're going to finish up some of this business side, making sure the correct components are still requested if we've already got them put on the car and everything like that. And I will see y'all in the next race, ladies and gentlemen. So as always, stay safe, and well, y'all know how it goes. Later, y'all.